Well, there's a big bright spot this morning, the great economic news on the jobs front. Let's go to our White House correspondent, Emerald Robinson, for the details.
Hi, Sean. That's right. Much better numbers than originally anticipated. Most estimates at 7.5 million jobs lost. The economy actually adding 2.5 million, surprising even the White House, except for one person, according to presidential advisor Kevin Hassett, who said the president was closer to being right than anybody.
My projections were way off. In fact, I think the only person that I know that was anywhere close to this number was the president. The president was way more optimistic than seems sensible to me given the initial claims data, but he turned out to be right. I think that what happened was that a heck of a lot of people just basically stayed connected to their workplaces because of the small business loan program that Secretary Mnuchin helped manage, and that the businesses were connected to the workers so that when they opened up again, then the workers could get right back to work. But again, it's shocking. It's a stampede back into the labor market for 3 million people, about 3.8 if you look at the household survey, and that's just something that we've never ever seen before.
Now, Hassett said there's still clearly a lot of work to be done in the way of talks about another stimulus package. That's not off the table. They're currently in a wait and see mode. Probably be more like July before we get a better picture of exactly what they want to do. Of course, the president has said the Paycheck Protection Program will continue for another 24 months for certain businesses, but there's also payroll tax cuts that they're very seriously taking a look at along with other measures. Sean?
Hey, thanks, Emerald. That's amazing news. I mean, it's literally going from thinking we're going to lose 7+ million jobs to gaining 2.5 million. Great Friday.
Well, in other news, presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden held a virtual town hall with African-American supporters last night. And during the event, he made a statement that some are considering a big gaffe.
Do we really think this is as good as we can be as a nation? I don't think the vast majority of people think that. There are probably anywhere from 10 to 15% of the people out there that are just not very good people. But that's not who we are. The vast majority of the people are decent. We have to appeal to that, and we have to unite people, bring them together.
Well, we hope that you're in that vast majority. Some are calling that bill Joe Biden's deplorable moment, referring to Hillary Clinton's comments in 2016. Well, to discuss this with us, we bring in political consultant and former advisor to Bill Clinton, Dick Morris. Dick, so good to see you.
Good to see you.
Hey, Dick, my liberal arts college math says that if you take the low end of what he's talking about, he says 10 to 15% of the country are bad people. So let's go on the low end. That's about 33 million people are bad people in this country. Is this, I mean, this sounds like Romney's 47% quote. It sounds like Hillary's deplorables quote. Do you think it's going to be this big of a deal?
Oh, yeah, I think so. And 15% is about 35. It's about 50 million. And that counts babies, bad babies. I think that it's ridiculous. When a candidate starts running against the voters, you know his campaign's in trouble. But today is the beginning of Donald Trump's reelection campaign. Today, the unemployment rate dropping to 13.3 from 15.2. The almost 3 million new jobs created as opposed to 7 or 8 million lost that most people thought. The fundamental reality of our politics now is that Trump loses among people on the question of who's better at containing the virus. Trump loses on who's better at stopping racist violence. Trump wins overwhelmingly on the question of who's better at rebuilding the country after the virus and after the riots. So Trump loses the past but wins the future. And this was the first day of the future, because that's what we're going to be talking about increasingly as Election Day approaches. Now, I want to say that Trump usually wins the past, but it takes a little while for the media to get over itself and to realize that the facts ultimately were that the president did an incredible job and got it done. But by pivoting to the future, the jobs and the economy, as Trump is now doing, and what's his new slogan, Rebuilding America or something like that?
Great.
Okay. He's really now focusing on the idea that he can build this country back to even better than it was. And that's got to be his theme, and that's going to be absolutely destructive for Biden.
Well, Dick, Real Clear Politics average is actually showing that Biden is ahead by a few points, showing Biden at 49% and Trump at 42%. Some attributing to this the president's handling of George Floyd's death, saying that a lot of people aren't happy with it. Do you think this economy aspect of it turns that all around, or does the president need to shift gears a little bit and help the mending and healing of the nation as well to get some of these polls back up?
Well, not healing and mending, but rebuilding, absolutely. I think he's not the shrink. He's a builder. He's a manager, and that's what he should do. Bear in mind, those polls have two defects. First of all, of the 5 polls in their average, 4 of them are of registered voters, not of likely voters. So a third of the people they interview don't vote. Most of whom, if they were to vote, would vote Democrat. And the second thing is they're national polls. And the defect of national polls is illustrated by 2016, when Hillary won the national vote by 2.5 points and lost the Electoral College. When you look at battleground states, the 17, which is the key thing to look at, Trump is slightly behind, but nothing like 7 points. And I believe that the obvious data that the virus is ending, that deaths are down, that there is no second wave, that reopening was the right thing to do, and that the economy is bounding back, are going to absolutely boost Trump into the lead very shortly.
You know, Dick, the other thing is I think those polls, I agree with everything you said. National polls irk me because it's not national. We're not running a national race anymore, right? The other thing is that you saw this last cycle. You've got these hidden Trump voters that don't want to admit they're voting for Trump to a pollster. So I think if this comes to Election Day and it's a push, that benefits Trump and he wins. But it's those battleground states that matter. So anyway, so much more to talk about next week. I hope to see if we got some new polls based on this economic number to break down. Thanks for being here and have a great weekend.
Thank you. See you next week.
All right. Well, coming up, New York Times apologizing for publishing an op-ed by Senator Tom Cotton. We'll explain why and talk to Trish Reagan about it next. And then later, we have country music star Ricky Skaggs. He'll be with us when we return.